If you want to buy a PC handheld, you are probably looking at one of these. And if you want to have a big screen on a handheld, the Lenovo Legion Go is probably your best bet. Although there are some important things you should know before you buy one. So let me help you with that by talking about its specs, give you some pros and cons, but also help you with the question, should you buy, upgrade or pass on the Lenovo Legion Go? It's MAIDeSITE. Inside the box you get the Lenovo Legion Go, the Legion True Strike controllers, a controller base, a 65-watt power adapter, a carrying case and a warranty sheet. Now let's look at the specs, but if you already know them, feel free to skip to the pros and cons. To start, the Legion Go is available in Shadow Black and has the following dimensions and weight you can see on screen. As an operating system, it uses Windows 11 Home instead of SteamOS, but you can also use Steam in Windows, set up Steam Big Picture mode or use MAIDeSITe, which is basically the same as SteamOS. Furthermore, you get Legion Space, which is Legion's own way to navigate your Legion Go. And you get a 3-month trial of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, so you can not only stream but also install the games to play them natively. Looking at the display, the Legion Go has a big 8.8-inch QHD IPS display with a 144Hz refresh rate. It has a peak brightness of 500 nits, a 16:10 aspect ratio, a 79 DCI P3 color accuracy, a 10-point touchscreen and Gorilla Glass. For the battery, it uses a 2-cell 49.2 Wh battery that can charge pretty rapidly and has a 900 mAh controller battery capacity. It uses an AMD Ryzen Z1 Extreme processor with RDNA graphics like the ROG Ally, which is more powerful than on the Steam Deck. It also has 16GB of onboard memory and up to 1TB of storage, and for the audio it uses two 2-watt speakers and a dual array near field microphone. As for the ports, on the top you get a headphone and mic combo, a USB-C 4.0 port, and you get a micro SD card reader that supports up to 2TB. Looking at the ports on the bottom, you get another USB-C 4.0 port, which is cool if you want to charge your device and connect another device at the same time, like a monitor or TV, AR glasses, a hard drive or something else. And for a wireless connection, you get Wi-Fi 6E and Bluetooth 5.1. Looking at the controls, as mentioned, they are detachable, like on the Nintendo Switch, which can be handy. They are, however, fairly large and also do feel quite light, which in one hand is nice, so it doesn't add much to the overall weight of the Legion Go. On the other hand, they don't feel high quality. Also, personally, I don't like the pressure they give you at the bottom, as it can get quite discomforting when gaming for some time. And I really needed to get used to this button on the side of the right controller, which is needed for FPS mode. But we will get into that in a minute. Then you get these Legion L and R button, which act as your menu buttons to open Legion Space, where you get several options like installing the latest updates, buying games, open your launchers and install games, which gives you more of a console feeling. You can also change the controller settings, for example, change the vibration intensity or enable gyro. And you can change a lot more settings like the overall performance, for example, how you want to set up your thermal mode or fan, and you can change the display and audio settings, check your disk and driver, and change some general settings. You also get this quick access menu, which gives you some similar options and a few more, like changing the resolution and refresh rate, set up a frame monitor, which can be very valuable to check how your game performs, and you can use some system quick settings. I have to say, both the Legion Space and the quick access menu can be great to quickly adjust some settings. However, I found that they didn't work consistently and sometimes they didn't open immediately. And both menus didn't work as smooth as on the Steam Deck or ROG Ally X. But when they open, they work just fine. And don't forget, you can always use even more settings within Windows 11. Getting back to the buttons, you get these L and R bumpers, which are pretty wide and let you easily rest your fingers on them. Then you get these L and R triggers, which feel quite light but get the job done. You also get traditional ABXY buttons, which were responsive during my testing, and I didn't experience any issues with them. The D-pad also feels very responsive, but personally I like the D-pad on the Steam Deck and ROG Ally X more when playing fighting games. Then you get two Hall effect joysticks, which are quite nice, because they will prevent stick drift, or at least you won't experience any issues as quickly as with traditional sticks. At the left bottom side, you get your menu or start select buttons, which kind of feels weird to have them at the bottom instead of the top, but you can easily switch them by mapping them within Legion space. On the right bottom side, you get one trackpad, which in my opinion is a must on PC handhelds, because yes, you can use the touchscreen that works pretty decent, but a trackpad is just very convenient to work with, especially when navigating within Windows. On the back you get 6 assignable buttons, which I believe are well placed, as I didn't accidentally press most of them, with the exception of the side button. But to be fair, it doesn't register any inputs, unless you have activated FPS mode. On the back of the right controller, you also get a mouse wheel, which is okay, but to be honest, I mostly forget to use it. And you get a mouse sensor, so you can use your controller like a mouse in FPS mode, with the support of this included base, which I believe is a pretty cool idea. However, I personally don't use it a lot. Still, it's cool that Lenovo implemented this. But I would say mostly I use the controllers attached or detached as Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Furthermore, you get 2 controller release buttons to detach the controls, and you can easily snap them back on. And if you've detached the controls to use FPS mode, make sure to flip this switch or else it won't work. Also make sure to flip it back when you're done. And when using the Legion Go as a separate screen, it's nice to have this kickstand. It's quite decent and covers almost the entire device, like on the Nintendo Switch. You also get haptic feedback, which feels a bit different than I'm used to, as it's kinda like a high-pitched vibration. And lastly, you get 6-axis gyro, which I personally don't use. As for the price, you can get all the mentioned features at a starting price of $700 for the 512GB model. There's also a more expensive 1TB model, however, that's not available in my country. But if you want more storage space, you can always get an SD card, which I can personally recommend. Also, if you need more detailed specs, check out Lenovo Legion Go's official website, and I will leave a link for that in the video description. So here are my pros and cons after using the Lenovo Legion Go for some time. When gaming on these handhelds, the screen size is what really makes a big impact on immersion. When I or my friends tried the Lenovo Legion Go, we immediately felt drawn into the game, almost like you're gaming on a TV and console. Then there's the versatility. If you value detachable controllers, FPS mode, using your handheld as a tablet or as a PC, value a decent kickstand and dual USB-C ports, want to connect it to a TV and use a trackpad, you should be good with the Lenovo Legion Go. Also, not all handhelds come with a standard case. For example, on the ROG Ally, you need to buy one separately. And on the Lenovo Legion Go, you not only get a decent protective case, but you can also use this to charge your Legion Go while it's protected. And then there's the power, as it's more powerful than the Steam Deck and Nintendo Switch. You will notice this on almost every game, when looking at the resolution, other game settings and frames. And if that's not enough, you can also use something like lossless scaling to get even more frames out of the Legion Go. That means you can play most games like Call of Duty, Destiny, Fortnite and more. Sure, there are some workarounds on the Steam Deck like streaming, but playing games natively on a handheld is mostly a better experience. And it's also cool that you can install Xbox Game Pass games instead of streaming them, which works really well and I use a lot. The price point is also decent. Sure, it might be high for some and not for others, but with a starting price of $700, it's right there between the Steam Deck and ROG Ally X. And if you want to use the Legion Go as a full-blown PC, that's possible, as you have Windows 11 on it. So you can do pretty much anything on the Legion Go like on a PC. And you can also connect it to a TV or monitor with a good dock or through a USB-C cable. You can even connect an external GPU to give it more power. And you can also use it as a small tablet to watch your favorite TV shows, as you can connect the controller, making it feel more like a tablet than a handheld. So basically, it's an all-in-one device, not only with its hardware, but also with its software, as Windows just opens a lot more options on your handheld. But Windows can also be a con, as it doesn't work as smooth for gaming on a handheld as SteamOS, because sometimes you just can't pick up and play the Legion Go as fast as on the Steam Deck or Switch due to errors or updates. Same goes for the 16:10 aspect ratio. On one hand, it's cool to have that screen real estate, on the other hand, it can give some issues on some games. Also, the screen is very glossy, which isn't ideal when using it outside, as you can barely see what's going on in darker scenes. Also, the weight might be too much for you, as it's quite a lot heavier than the Steam Deck or Nintendo Switch. Luckily, you can also detach the controllers and use the kickstand when the Legion Go becomes too heavy after some game time. And besides the weight, the ergonomics are one of the worst out of these handhelds, at least in my opinion. They are not that ergonomic at all, so hopefully we will see some improvement on a future model. And then there's the battery life. You might get around 1.5 hours of game time depending on the game and settings, and most of the time that's just not enough. And the speakers are also mediocre at best. Instead of front-facing speakers, the Legion Go speakers face upwards, and they just sound quite dull. Luckily, you can resolve that with a wired or wireless headphone or speakers. Also, the Z2 Extreme was announced, and we might see next-gen handhelds somewhere in 2025. So you might want to wait for the new models or a price drop on this model. The storage size might also be a small issue depending on the model you buy. I just really advise to get the bigger model if you can, or get a decent SD card. So what's my personal advice? When should you buy, upgrade or pass on the Lenovo Legion Go? First off, when should you buy the Legion Go? I would definitely buy the Legion Go when you don't have a PC handheld yet and you can't wait to play all your favorite games on a handheld. And you want the biggest screen, you don't mind tinkering, but you also don't mind being plugged into power most of the time. You want a versatile handheld you mostly play at home, or if you already have most handhelds and want to collect them all. So when should you upgrade? To start, if you want that bigger screen or better performance when you're coming from a Steam Deck or Nintendo Switch, you want versatility not only in its features but also in its software, or if you're somehow interested in FPS mode, you want to install Game Pass games, again if you're coming from the Steam Deck or Nintendo Switch, or when you want to connect an external GPU to get that extra power. So when should you pass on the Legion Go? To start, when you're satisfied with your Steam Deck or Nintendo Switch and don't need more performance. Also, you already have an ROG Ally and you don't mind the bigger screen or detachable controls. Or maybe when you prefer a 16:9 aspect ratio instead of a 16:10, or when you value long battery life on a handheld and don't want to be stuck to a power bank or wall outlet. You should also consider to pass on the Legion Go if you value ergonomics and sound quality, but also when you don't want to upgrade anytime soon. In that case, you should better wait for the next gen handhelds. And make sure to pass on the Legion Go when you don't want to hassle with Windows, at least not too much. And lastly, you want a portable handheld you might want to use for traveling. I hope this video was helpful to you and I earned a like and subscribe from you. And if you want to see more similar content like the ROG Ally X, the Steam Deck OLED, or you want to see more of the Legion Go, click right here to watch more of my content right now. See you there.